Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we got Master of Versatility level 3, which is honestly a more rare achievement than rank 1. Now, rank 1 I would say is harder, but I think that this one is genuinely more rare. And so what it means is that I got 12,000 champion score on 10 champions, and I got every role to level 14 or higher, as you can see here. And what we're going to be aiming for now is level 5 Master Versatility, which is all roles level 18 and 12 champions at 15,000 champion score peak or higher. And so we're going to be doing this probably for the next 3 or so seasons that it'll take me to get it, but we're going to go into the quirky game that ended up getting me Master Versatility level 3, and we'll talk more about this as we get into that game, so let's get right into it. Okay, so now going into the game that got me Master Versatility level 3, so again, my main goal this season is to get mid lane and jungle completed, which means I want to get them to level 18. Those are more of the carry roles. Those are the roles that really did allow me to reach rank 1. I don't think I could have done it on something like top lane ADC or support. But I do plan on trying to reach solo queue Sovereign with the other roles apart from mid and jungle as well. So I want to kind of make a little series out of each season doing either top ADC or support solo queue to Sovereign. And I might start it off with letting you guys vote. It would be more like a month from now when the season ends that I would possibly throw out a vote for you guys to vote on which role I solo queue with next. So that's definitely something I'm thinking about doing. But the main goal right now is to get, again, level 18 on both jungle and mid lane. Here, I'm playing Quirky ADC because I was autofill, but I'm probably going to play some Quirky mid lane as well, and that type of thing. And I'm just trying to get my champions up to see how many I can get to 15k so I can aim for that level 5. But that's really the main kind of thing. I'm pretty excited to play a different role. I think it's fun kind of switching up the roles every now and again. I really like one-tricking a role and then moving on to the next and then having my voice crack, like as you guys heard there. But for the rest of this video, I'm going to be talking about the gameplay a little bit, but I kind of want to talk more about the struggles with solo queue on different roles and kind of how you get around that. Because, I mean, I have climbed, again, autofill, top 10 the server, 3 separate seasons playing these different roles. And in those seasons, I would usually play a lot of duo up until Sovereign. But, like, once I was Sovereign, when I went past, I was playing solo queue. So there was a season I got 163 marks playing all autofill. And from 100 marks to 163, all solo queue. So again, I can solo queue in every role. I've done this a bunch of times. And obviously we saw me solo queue rank 1 this season. So generally just want to talk about the differences in the roles and kind of the main things you need to understand as a solo queue player when you're playing these non-carry roles. Because again, with the mid, the jungle, I've made so many videos on how to carry in mid jungle, how to, 1v9, all these types of things. But it's a lot different when you're playing a role that naturally just doesn't have as much agency. And so really focusing on ADC here, there's a few main things you have to understand as a solo queue ADC. The first thing is sometimes your teammates will suck. And by sometimes, I mean 95% of the time because, most people suck. But it's more about how good they are relative to your opponent. And so I would say about, let's say 60 to 70% of the time, your support's probably going to be worse to maybe just equal to the enemy support. And maybe 20 or 30% of the time, he'll actually be better. And with that in mind, we need to know how to play with someone who's not as good. So the first thing to understand is you can actually make your teammate better through very simple things. So talking about duo lane specifically, if you just stand on a parallel line with your support or your ADC, depending on which you are, you will already make them look so much better than they actually are. So look where we are right now. If let's say hypothetically we're in a lane where we're actually trying to fight right now. Right now, my Nautilus is behind me, which means he can't engage. He's the champion who's supposed to engage, and if he engages, he's not going to be able to engage, right? So I'll be auto-attacking people, he can't engage, this is useless, only one of us can do anything. Now, let's look at it now, or we'll wait until, we're more even. So now here, we're pretty much even. So again, obviously the wave here is pushing, so I'm just hitting the wave. I'm more using this as an example. So let's say that there was, we were here on a parallel line with each other like we are, but let's say the enemy were in front of us and we were a little further back so the turret wouldn't hit us, that type of thing. Now I'm in a position where if he hooks someone, I auto-attack immediately. And he's in a position to hook someone who's within my range, right? So he's pushed up far enough where he can hook someone, he can do something aggressive, and I'm in a position where I can follow up on his aggression. Now let's say, again, a little bit later, he backs off back to here. I should back off with him, because if I stay up and he's not in a position to follow up, then I'm probably just going to get caught, or I'm going to die, or something like that. And then I'm going to be like, why wasn't my support there to help me? But he wasn't there to help me because I was just going to die. Or just because, again, a lot of times the bad players, they won't know when to be aggressive or passive. And you kind of have to base your decision making off when they decide to be aggressive or passive. So here, for example, if I was paying more attention to his posturing, I could have gotten an extra auto attack in on his engage, because he was clearly looking for an engage, but I was slightly too far back where I wasn't able to get as many autos off. Now he hooked him, and he's Nautilus, and Nautilus CCs people for 48 minutes, so I was still able to kill him. But that small thing of me getting one less auto attack can often be the difference between getting a kill or not. And when you're playing solo queue, these things matter a lot more, because if you're playing duo, you can naturally be coordinated with your teammate. You probably don't have to worry about playing absolutely perfect. But when you're playing with some random, you really need to understand their specific patterns and really pay attention to that. So you really need to pay attention to, when's he walking forward, making sure you're walking forward at the same time. When's he walking back, making sure you're backing off, not, just going too far forward. Even if it's technically the right play to back off or to go forward, or that different type of thing. You just want to typically be able to draw a straight line between you and him. So even here, where I'm standing is not really great. It didn't really matter. But like here, he's standing in the bush here. I could be farther up, just taking more space. What does it do to take more space in this lane for me? It just means the enemy are maybe more scared to walk up, or it means that if, again, he lands a hook, I'm immediately there. Where right now, let's say someone walked up here and he hooked them. I would have to use my second ability just to get in range, and then I don't get to engage. So again, you're seeing, like, I make these mistakes. It's not like I'm perfect, especially I don't play much ADC at the moment. I've grinded in past seasons, but this season, again, I've been playing mostly mid jungle. Clearly a little washed on the ADC, not paying proper attention to my teammate. And like, again, if he had landed that hook that he just missed, I would have had to use my second ability to go forward. And then even here, we're standing on top of each other. Now I kind of have to stand, here to last hit. But in this case, my Nautilus just ends up kind of, being in a position where he just stands on top of me, which not much I can do about that. And then here he does find a nice engage. And because this time I was in a position right next to him to follow up, I'm able to easily follow up and kill that guy. And now you might think it's a bad outcome for us because we both died. The reality is I crashed a wave under the turret and the ADC died, which means he loses out on gold. I get gold from that kill. And then again, we didn't really have a guarantee that my Nautilus would die. He's a pretty tanky champion with a lot of CC. There was a pretty high chance he ends up living. Obviously he didn't in that case. But the gold is fine for us. We're actually ahead a lot of their ADC. And again, a lot of that is due to that one kill where we were willing to take that 1-for-1 trade, which ended up being a 1-for-2 trade, because we knew that the gold would be more valuable on us than it would on the enemy Senna or Aatrox, and the Ezreal would lose a lot of gold. So again, just main things that I really want you guys to understand is paying attention to your teammate's specific positioning in solo queue is extremely important, and kind of letting your support dictate the pace of the lane a lot of the time. Now, obviously, there's times where you have to take things in your own hands and you have to do what you think is right. You can't just follow him 24/7. But a lot of people, they really don't pay enough attention to what their duo is doing in the duo lane when they're playing solo queue, because they're kind of thinking very selfishly, only thinking about what's best for them. And it is important to play selfish, but it's also important to note, what your teammate's doing when he's being aggressive, that type of thing, to make him look better, even if he's making the wrong choice. And so that's usually how the early game goes. You got to make sure you're paying really close attention to your teammate. But what about the later parts of the game as an ADC? Really, some of the most important things to understand are that you need to find as much gold as possible. It's not super, super important for you to necessarily join every fight or follow up on every silly engage that your team makes in the mid game, but it's important for you to hit those specific item spikes. ADCs are champions that rely more on item spikes than anything else, and that is why all I'm really concerned with in this mid game, as you'll kind of see, getting my proper amount of gold, making sure I'm strong, and then I can rotate the fights after I push a wave. But I'm also making sure that, the wave is pushed before I do anything else. That's kind of like the main priority as an ADC. Where let's say you're support solo queue, your main priority is identifying the strongest person and then rotating towards them. And then let's say that we're a Baron lane in solo queue, then we have to identify our specific champion strengths. So like a Baron laner, some Baron lane champions, they really do want to fight a lot early game. They want to make a lot of plays for their team. They want to set them up. Like, let me say like a Warwick, for example. As a Warwick, my goal is to kind of, in the mid game, push the wave and then rotate and help my team as the top laner. But let's say I'm a Camille or a Fiora. My goal is to get as much value on the side lane as possible. Get as much gold on the side lane, be as selfish as possible. Create 1v1s, 1v2s, that type of thing. And so those are kind of the differences between ADC support and Baron lane. You kind of have to be more dynamic in Baron lane, Whereas support, again, it's usually who's my strongest person in solo queue. I'm going to go follow that guy around for the most part. And again, for ADC, it's really just how much gold can I get on myself as quick as possible. So that's really what we're looking for in the mid game. And that's how we're kind of going to be able to carry. Now, in this case, my teammate goes way too far forward. And that's another thing. You have to understand when your teammates are just inting in solo queue and you got to not overfollow. Like there was no chance I could ever follow up. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why he thought that made sense. And I'm not just going to overfollow. So I'm going to put myself in a position where I can follow up on plays that make sense. But I'm also going to be able to understand like they're inting there. No reason to overforce. I just got to focus on getting my own gold. I got to not tilt. Even if we're down 1, 2, 3,000 gold. If I'm a good enough AD carry, I can usually play out the fights and carry anyways. And then here I'm just trying to kind of look for some type of play. But we don't really find anything, so we just look for a recall. And then this is a really important timer as well as an ADC. And this is kind of going to a different side lane rather than just sticking around in your lane. So in this case here, I ended up finding a recall. Nothing was really working on bot side. And I saw a free wave top side. So I could essentially create an additional 200 gold from getting that top wave. Whereas if I went bot wave, I wouldn't have had that additional wave. And so I'm kind of, again, just finding the ways where I can get as much gold as possible. I'm farming this camp. Now I'm going mid. I'm even just going mid to sneak a couple, more minions. Then I'm going and farming my teammate's jungle camp. Then I'm going mid again. So you see just within this like 1 minute time frame, I'm getting my bot wave recalling, going top wave, getting a second top wave, getting a mid wave, going to a camp. I also got Gromp, so I got 2 camps, and then I got a mid wave. And just all of that gold is just gold that most players aren't creating. And that's gold that's allowing me to potentially carry a fight even when a game wasn't going well. So here, like the game wasn't going well, but I'm still able to hit 2 items before second dragon just because of the fact that I'm farming and I'm using these certain windows and timers to create that additional gold. Even here, I'm looking in mid lane, and then for some reason, Swain decides to go on me, so we just get a free kill on him. So shout out to Swain for inting for no reason. Appreciate that, homie. And now again, what do I do before I recall? I go and get this bot wave because I know there's just additional gold I can create there. And then I do recall before getting this bot wave because of the fact that dragon's spawning. But we can see how I'm just creating all of that additional gold, and because of that, I'm up over 1,000 gold on the enemy ADC. Obviously, I have 2 more kills than him as well, so that helps, but that's a 1,300 gold difference. That would only be 600 with the kills, so still 700 additional gold just from the better farming that we've done so far. Even here again, I'm getting the bot wave before I end up rotating towards the fight. So I'm just constantly prioritizing this gold, which is what you have to do in the mid game as an ADC champion. So we kind of see, an exact example of me just using these sort of things to put myself in a position to carry. I did a really stupid second ability there. I didn't mean to second ability there. I remember misclicking that. That was not good at all. And so I do die. Definitely a bad play by me. But honestly, it's not too bad of an outcome. We got a decent amount of gold. Our teammates get a couple kills, and then the Fiora gets to split push on top lane for free. So definitely not ideal, but still not bad. And so again, the main things that we kind of want to note from this video are just how we kind of carry in the mid game by just getting as much gold as possible on ourselves. Also, look at that Fiora. I can't believe she killed that. That was, I don't know how she killed that. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, we kind of see here how we're able to still do that. Get all the gold on us so that we're in a position to possibly carry. And again, what do? I prioritize this bot wave, this bot turret, and then I go now mid, where now the difference is at this point in the game, once the Baron is spawning, I now will start prioritizing fighting. So it's understanding the timers that you want to fight on in solo queue more than anything else, where now that there is a Baron spawning, now that there's a really important objective to fight over, I do care about the fights. And so I'm going to start joining my team. I'm going to make sure I'm in a position to help them out. And then we're going to get a free mid turret off of that too. So shout out to my Fiora for getting a nice kill there and ending up getting us the mid turret. I remember I was trying to auto the turret and I accidentally autoed Aatrox. Then I did a stupid second ability. So you can see you don't need to make perfect plays every time to carry every solo queue game. And my team's not doing bad here, honestly, in the mid game. It's not like they're an awful team. Of course, if my entire team was running it down, I'd probably lose because that's just how it usually works. Obviously, as a solo queue player, you kind of have to accept not every game is winnable. That's just part of playing solo queue. But here, Aatrox kind of goes forward for no reason, so we're able to get that free kill on him and then recall. But again, it's just that efficiency, really. Whenever you're playing a champion that does a lot of damage in solo queue, as long as you're efficient, probably going to be pretty good. Whereas if you're playing, a more supportive style, you have to be more creative with how you find kind of plays around the map and helping your team out. If you're playing a Nautilus support, for example, you do have to be a bit more creative, finding, which teammate is the strongest, who can I play around, that type of thing. But if you're on a Corki, you're on, let's say, Fiora top, whatever, the macro can almost be as simple as where can I get the most gold pre 12 minutes, and then after 12 minutes, that's when, you know, you start prioritizing fighting around the Baron, and that type of thing. But again, here, we're just following up our team, and you can just see I'm very fed at this point. I do an absurd amount of damage. I'm able to get so much damage off in fights. My team's able to do pretty well in that fight, and we're just able to clean up pretty simply. Overall, I mean, again, solo queue is not that complicated. Like, it is relatively straightforward. I usually do think of it a bit as like just a numbers game where it's just whatever the most efficient play is, whatever gives me the most gold, that's what I'm gonna do. So if I think that there's a 66% chance of me getting a kill, and that kill is gonna give me 300 gold, then that's a 200 gold value play, because, you know, 66% of the time I get 300 gold out of it, and the rest of the time I get 0. Obviously, that's not actually how it works, because sometimes you could die, sometimes you could get a double kill, you could get an assist, but it's more of a rough estimate. And then, so is that worth skipping a wave? Probably not, because a wave also gives me 200 gold and it's guaranteed. So it's just like, I'm just thinking about things like this all the time when I'm playing. That's what you got to be thinking about on ADC. So I think I've kind of beaten this point home pretty hard, what I'm thinking about on these roles, and kind of why I'm able to carry on different roles in solo queue rather than only ever playing jungle mid. Obviously, again, the best I've climbed, the highest I've gotten is jungle mid, because those are just the best roles for solo queue. But like, if you're a player who you like a certain role, or you feel like you're just way better at a certain role, you can climb on it, and that's kind of what I want to show you guys through this gameplay, through the fact that I'm Master Versatility, and through the series that I do plan on doing, as we talked about, you know, the Master Versatility level 5, kind of that being my next goal. That's just sort of kind of something I wanted to get across to you guys, and so I was kind of talking a lot about that overall this video, kind of ranting a bit. I feel like I was rambling, you know, but I got to make some extra videos because I'm getting my wisdom teeth out in like 10 days, and so I might have a few videos where I'm rambling, trying to create a little bit more content, since I'm gonna have to record probably like a week worth of extra videos, just so I don't have to talk as much, you know, once my wisdom teeth are out for a little bit. So that'll be fun. I won't be streaming for like a week or so when that happens, because I might as well take a little break anyways, while, you know, my teeth are in pain, or my mouth is in pain. So just you know, random thing here we talk about as we kind of just end the game, because it's a pretty straightforward thing that we're doing at this point. Just following up on our teammates. You know, I don't think there's anything too complicated that goes on in the rest of this game. Mostly just wanted to talk about kind of solo queue, talk about this achievement that we got with the Master of Versatility level 3, and just talk about kind of, again, what our plans are going forward, because I feel like I've kind of achieved almost everything in this game at this point. Not obviously, like, you know, only like in ranked. Obviously, I haven't, you know, played pro or anything. I don't plan to. But like, we've gotten rank 1, we've gotten autofill sovereign on it, or we've climbed challenger every role when challenger was the highest rank. So like, I feel like I've done a lot of the things already, and now it's just kind of about finding these fun things to do, like the Master Versatility stuff, and making content, just playing the game, because playing the game's fun. Learning new champs is fun. So I might, you know, try to play a champ or two that I don't really play as much next season, just to get, you know, some new champs in, that type of thing. Maybe it depends on what's strong, what's meta, that type of stuff. But yeah, we're able to carry that game pretty well as a whole. I think we end up getting MVP there. If we didn't, then you just saw it wrong and your screen was glitching. But yeah, if you guys want to get coached by a rank 1 player, just DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or through the link in the description to my Discord server. It's just $25 an hour for coaching, and I can provide kind of information on how to climb in solo queue through my own personal experiences, through reviewing some of your games, that type of thing. We had Talon WR's trash. Shout out to him. That's my goat right there. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.